Hello everybody! Welcome to tonight's show. How are you all doing tonight? Well, as you all know, I'm Brett Askman. This is my show, Interviews Throughout Time. The way this show works is we pluck somebody from their timeline in history using highly advanced space-traveling, time-traveling techniques that haven't even been invented yet, and we ask them questions. So, tonight our guest is Mr. Samuel Seawall. Hello, Mr. Askman. It is a pleasure to be on your show. And it is a pleasure to have you, Samuel. Please, call me Judge Seawall. Okay. Well, anyways, Judge Seawall, tonight we are here to ask you about something that you played quite the hand in, and that is the Salem witch trials. I had, figured as such. So, Judge Seawall, let's go way back and start at the beginning. Like, way back. What made you come to America in the first place? Were you born here? Well, actually, my grandfather had been owed some money by the king. So in 1657, my father had gone to America to claim that in the form of land. And 4 years later, in 1661, my mother and I had emigrated to America with him. So you were only 9 years old when you came to America? Was it safe for you? Well, we faced the usual problems, like bad harvests and troublesome natives, but overall, we in Massachusetts had a better work ethic than the colonists in Jamestown. So, overall, we did rather well. Well, thank you for telling us about yourself, Judge Seawall, but let's get into the real meat of this interview, and that is the Salem witch trials. Now, if I'm right, this all started with 3 little girls. Yes, that is correct. If I am not mistaken, their names were Elizabeth, Abigail, and Anne. Yup, that's them. So, what happened to them? Well, I wasn't too involved up until the actual trials, but from what I had known, they did show signs of the devil within them. Now, today we would just chalk those symptoms up as to signs of a seizure or something like that. But what led you guys to think that this was the work of the devil? Back in my time, we were a less educated people. Today, I see that your people largely favor the sciences over the Word of God. But back in my time, we took the Word of God as absolute, and any ill will we experienced, we saw as a punishment from God. So, when these fits had begun to happen, we had all assumed that they were just curses from the devil. That's interesting. So after that, you guys actually questioned them as to who did this to them? Unfortunately, we did. We saw our children as very trustworthy because they were well versed in the Word of God. So once they had named the 3 women that they did, we largely believed that they were right. But didn't the women claim innocence? 2 of them did, but the South American slave, Tituba, spun tall tales of the devil and his effect on her. Also, she came from a mysterious land with strange traditions. So, we thought it natural that she may be a witch. Now, if I'm right, this was about the time that you got involved. Yes, that's right. I was appointed the judge of these proceedings. Many of the people brought before me would stutter when they answered questions, or they were angry at us for asking them questions. At the time, I had simply seen this as evidence of them being a witch and attempting to keep it hidden. Now, is there any actual truth to people saying that there were drownings and hangings to test if these people were witches? We had never actually tested to see if anybody was a witch in the ways that you think we may have. In reality, the trial that they stood, that I judged, would check to see if they were a witch. And if they were to be judged guilty, then they would often be hung. What would get you to decide whether or not somebody was actually guilty of witchcraft? At the beginning of these trials, the court had accepted spectral evidence. That is, we accepted dreams and visions that people claim to have had. After a while, though, people started saying that spectral evidence could not be trusted. So eventually, it was denounced. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense nowadays to not count dreams as evidence, but back then you said you were pretty spiritual. So what actually led to these trials coming to a close? Well, naturally, after spectral evidence was denounced, the number of accusations either lowered or had no evidence behind them. But the final straw that broke the horse's back was when my dear wife was accused of being a witch. I had obviously known that this wouldn't be true, and that had brought to light all the falsity that I had been allowing. Wow, so did anybody else realize they might have been wrong, or was it only you? No. Many people eventually realized the error of their ways. In fact, the 3 young girls who had started this whole commotion eventually admitted that their accusations were false and that the devil had implored them to make them. Thank you very much, Judge Sewell. I hope you enjoy your time in the 21st century before your body rapidly decomposes as a side effect of time travel. Now, everybody, you know, that is my show. Time-traveling interviews and interviewee things. Now, did we just change the title, or did a time paradox just occur, making everything that happened not actually happen at all? I don't know, time travel's pretty confusing. I hope you have a good night.